Alright, this is tattoo interview with
Brooke Hume from Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Brooke. Thank you very much. I've had the chance to meet you previously, and you are a sweetheart. Thank you for taking the time to do this for us. First off, Brooke, how long have you been tattooing?
I've been tattooing about 6.5 years.
Okay, 6.5 years. Oh, what were your thoughts before tattooing, before you even got involved in tattooing? What was your first tattoo?
Well, I was always pretty fascinated with just the culture of body modification. My mom, she would let me get pierced. She would let me get tattooed. So I got my first piercing and just got introduced to the atmosphere and loved it. I never considered being a tattooer. I always loved art, but I never really thought I could make money at it, like I could make a living at it. So I didn't seek it out for that reason. It kind of found me. My very first tattoo was on my 18th birthday. I went with my best friend and we got matching tattoos.
You got BFF tattoos?
Yes, but they're cooler. They're not like your typical, Pinterest tattoos or anything.
Gotcha.
Which Pinterest, wasn't even a thing back then. But it was a quote by Hume from Blind Melon. It is, when life is hard, you have to change. And I still love that tattoo and I still live by it. So I don't regret it because I put a lot of thought into it, obviously, which everybody should do. But yeah, that was my first tattoo and I loved it. I loved the experience. It was amazing.
Cool. So how did you get into tattooing?
It found me and pulled me into the depths. I went to art school at Berea in Kentucky, and I ended up dropping out, like lots of artists do. I was working at a gas station, and this chick that I went to high school with, we had taken art together, and she knew how serious I was. She harassed me, basically, until I went and talked to her boss. So it took like 3 or 4 times of her trying to talk me into this, and finally I just did it. And it was like this little street shop, small town in Kentucky. We had a lot of Cherry Creek Flash and Tattoo Johnny Flash. But I got into it and they taught me everything I needed to get started, and then I kind of took off from there.
In your 6.5 years of tattooing, what are some of the differences in the industry that you've noticed? The changes, for the good and the bad?
Well, I mean, information is definitely more readily available. If you want to learn it, it's out there. Tattooing has been way more widely accepted, so the people that you see coming into the industry that have the amazing fine arts backgrounds and that kind of thing, all their knowledge is starting to be translated into things that we can use in tattooing. And that's amazing, because whether people want to admit it or not, the ability to paint and throw whatever medium you decide to use, it's all the same. It all stems from the same techniques and knowledge. And it's not so much about picking a design off the wall and then applying it super simple. Now it's definitely more of an art, and people are seeing that, so they expect to be able to find an artist that can deliver that.
Yeah, and I think that's something that happens at times is you go, I mean, it is a professional establishment, and a certain level should be met and stuff. And the sad part is that sometimes we do go into some places and it's not. Like we have certain shops that aren't. And that's a whole different subject. But basically what you're saying is the bar has been raised.
Definitely.
There's people who are...
We're squeezing the... you have an artist, and then you have your old school tattooers. Not saying that they're lack of knowledge. But now people are demanding more of the ability on your artist's part to take an idea and turn that idea into an image that can be put onto skin, and it's going to age well.
Right.
Because, I mean, your canvas is always going to deteriorate, and being skin is going to deteriorate faster. So you have to keep all that in mind.
Okay.
Everything is excelled so much.
And what kind of tattooing do you prefer to do? Like, what style do you enjoy working in?
I try to pride myself on being like kind of a jack of all trades. I like to dabble in just about any style that I find interesting. I do a lot of realism. I do a lot of black and gray realism and color realism. But recently I've been trying to make my own style where I mesh the realism with like an illustrative look. And I've been having a lot of fun with that because it makes me not focus so much on being perfect. I can just kind of freely, almost impressionistic.
Let the tattoo take you where it wants to go.
Yeah.
It basically it brings itself to life.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And there's anything what some of the things that tattooing has taught you?
Oh, patience.
Yeah.
I always thought that I could be that fine artist where I could be a hermit in the mountains somewhere and not be around people and paint and make lots of money and, you know, be in the books and stuff after I'm gone. But that's not really how that works. Tattooing has definitely taught me to be more social because I am a very introverted person and socially awkward a lot of the times. So I feel like art in general has taught me a lot of things, but tattooing, as far as specifically through tattooing, I have learned to just understand people better, and I have more of a connection to people, which is something that I was, you know, lacking previous to tattooing.
Wow. That's pretty intense, man. Okay. Artists who inspire you, tattooers or non-tattooers?
Oh Lord. John Singer Sargent is one of my all-time favorite painters. I can pull inspiration out of any art, architecture, anything. Like, I pull inspiration from everything around me all the time. My favorite tattooers, of course, would have to be like Jeff Gogwe. I know he's probably a normal thing to hear, but Gogwe is seriously, I pulled so much from him, and he puts all this information out available to people if they want it. You know, he has his painting DVDs and his Tattoo as I See It.
Go ahead.
All of those. It's amazing. I really like, of course I'm going to list them girls, my Emily Rosemary, and yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
And Teresa Sharp, and Megan Jean Morris, and Kelly Doty, all those girls, they're amazing, which I'm going to be like pro girl no matter what, because I think it's amazing that girls are finally in this industry, because we were kind of shunned for so long.
And that leads us to the next question.
You follow into that?
Yeah, well, go ahead. In your 6.5 years, this is a male-dominated industry, or was. What are some of the struggles or road bumps that you faced and that you had to overcome, and possibly still anything as a female tattooer?
Well, it takes a lot more for me to gain the respect of the people that I work with. I think a lot of times, and this could be insecurities on their behalf or what have you, but a lot of people want to sum up your abilities and your success, or, you know, just gaining, like, that client wants to get tattooed by you over them. They want to sum it up and just be like, well, you know, it's a female thing. Like, people want to get tattooed by girls. And it has been kind of a novelty. I definitely kind of am a novelty, and I kind of work that role a little bit just to kind of make light of it, you know, make a joke out of it. But it is kind of annoying when people assume that because I'm a girl, like, that's the reason why I have as many people approach me wanting to get tattooed. when it has really nothing to do with that. For the most part, there are going to be some people that just want to get tattooed by a female. But I don't know. I love being a female in a male-dominated world because I feel like because I have to work so much harder to get the respect from the people that I look up to, and that's not necessarily true all the time, but it's gonna make me, I have something to prove, and I'm gonna work my hardest to do that. It's not just gonna come to me. So I feel like I'm learning and growing so much more in that journey than
trudging.
most people.
Yeah, so you're trudging basically, and that a lot of people think of trudging like going through mud and stuff, but no, trudging actually means to carry on with purpose, and that's really what you're doing, is carrying on with a purpose. That's awesome, man. Do you do any artwork outside of tattooing?
All the time. I love art. I love painting. I love sculpture. I love any medium I can possibly get. I'm gonna soak it up because I'm just so, I don't know. I'm just so hungry to soak up as much as I possibly can.
This next question is going to kind of throw you under the bus, and I hope it's more of a fun question. Is if you can get tattooed by one tattooer, who would it be in the whole world? Just one. You get one. Everyone's been thrown out. It's like we're narrowing it down to one. One guy who you like to collect a piece of work from. Or girl, I should say. It's a tough one, ain't it?
So hard.
Yeah. You can name a few, might as well.
Well, I was gonna say, I would love to get tattooed by, is it Zed? XCD? He's like he was the founding father basically of dot work.
Really?
And like the repeating geometry kind of stuff. It can all be traced back to him.
Really?
So he took an idea or an image that he saw in the fine art world, or I mean, he could have, that stuff stems from like Egypt and the Mayans and all that. But he took that and started using it in tattoos, and it just took off. Everybody picked it up. I would love to sit and get tattooed by him and then ask him all the questions that I could think of, because I'm sure he has so many stories to tell.
Yeah, he probably does. And that style seems to be having a resurgence at the time, especially with social media and all that. Mm-hmm. Okay. What do you think are the characteristics of a good tattooer?
I think somebody who's just, well versed. You obviously want to come in as a consumer. You want to come into a tattoo shop and you want to feel comfortable. You want to feel welcomed. You want to feel open to talk to your chosen artist freely about your idea. So I guess somebody has a good, somebody who's temperate. Is that a word? Is that the right word?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Has temperance.
And somebody who's obviously clean and healthy and sober, and because back in the old days that wasn't always the case.
Okay. I mean, I'm really new in this industry, but already it has done so much for me, and I'm sure it has done so much for you. And like I mentioned, we hear a lot of people wanting to give back to tattooing. What would you consider that to be? What do they mean by that? And how do you see yourself doing so?
I think just sharing information among each other. Because a long time ago, or not even really that long ago, the information used to be so guarded. And nobody wanted to give out their secrets. And now that information is definitely more available, and it flows a lot more freely. So being able to share with your fellow tattooers or anybody wanting to get into the industry whatever information you have, I think in the end is just going to make them better tattooers, and then it's going to raise the bar, and then those people are going to go and they're going to be more free about sharing information with other tattooers. So eventually what's going to happen is, I think, like all the tattoos you see, people are just going to always look for that quality. They're going to give up the idea of the spontaneous, cheap tattoo.
Right.
They're going to quit price shopping, and they're going to just give into it and say, you know what, I can't pay enough for the quality of work that some people could put on me. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to keep raising until that's just going to be the norm. You're going to walk around and you're going to see people covered in amazing artwork instead of, you know, all your jailhouse stuff that people get because they want coverage without paying for it.
Yeah. Okay. What is the ideal client? Like, what do you believe the ideal client to be?
Somebody who's done their research, somebody who is open to interpretation, and they know what they want. It's a pet peeve of mine when somebody comes in and they're like, you know, I'm open to whatever, do whatever you want. And then when we start collaborating, they're like, no, that's not. You need to research what you want, and you want to be clear about the idea or the emotion that you want to convey with the piece, and put it down. I feel like the ideal client has done the research and has like the photos to back it up. Like have obviously, they're educated as to what they want, and they're open to interpretation, so that if they've done the research on the artist, then they know what they're capable of. And if the person is capable of doing what you want, you should kind of give them the idea and let them roll with it, because that's when they're going to get the best work.
Right. And I mean, they're obviously coming to you because they want or like your work at least, or saw something. So instead of trying to, what do you call that? I'll get back to that phrase. Right, so microscopically managed. That's a micromanage. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, micromanager.
Yeah. Okay, so what is tattooing to you?
Everything.
That's a good enough answer.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, I agree. It's so, tattooing changed your life?
Definitely. I came from a very, we were very poor. I've always been a super shy person, so if you knew me back then and you met me now, you would have no idea who I was. It has changed everything about my life. Okay.
Do you have a favorite tattoo that you have done? Or experienced tattoo?
Yes, I do. I'll send a picture of it to you. It's a snake that I did on my assistant Spencer's leg, and there's a dagger, and there's some flowers scattered around it. I think it's the perfect balance of realism and illustrative elements. And I'm gonna got some more stuff coming up like that. So.
And I'll tell you what, I remember when we met at the previous Nashville show, and I had asked about that tattooing, and you said it would be at the Louisville show. And when I finally got to see it in person, the pictures do not do it justice. And I remember you explained to me your process, and I was fucking amazed, because that thing was cool how much thought went behind it. And that was, I agree. I knew you were gonna bring it up too. For some reason I knew it, and the picture it's a gorgeous tattoo, and the dude was cool as hell to let me see it for like 10 minutes. So yeah. Is there a hardest tattoo you've done? One that you really struggled with, or not? Maybe might have proved a little more challenging than you figured it to be.
Anytime anybody asks me to do like straight traditional work or like Polynesian tribal or that kind of thing, that throws me out of my element so much, because I get so used to being in a certain mindset to do like realism and that kind of thing, and then having to go in with all this technical ability where you're just making these amazing designs with lines and very simple shading and gradients. It's not that it's super difficult, it just takes me hours to transition myself into thinking in those terms. For traditional work, it's like so simple, and my brain is just not used to doing simple. So.
Okay, is there anything about the tattoo process that you best like from start to finish? Is there a certain part that you really look forward to, or that just takes you somewhere else, puts you in, like you said, in your element, on your zone?
I gotta say, like, when I'm setting up my station, I already have this tattoo designed, and I'm excited about it, and I'm setting up my machine, and I'm picking out colors. That's kind of my favorite part, because this realm of possibility is in front of you, and it can either like be great or it can be not your best work. And I mean, any artist, anytime, anywhere, like, we're not completely 110% perfect all the time. Like, it's perfect just doesn't exist.
Right.
So in the beginning, when you're doing all that and you're planning, that's kind of, it's almost meditative for me. It's almost like a form of prayer or something. Like, I'm trying to line all this stuff up, and I'm trying to do and achieve the best ending that I possibly can. So people are trying to talk to me when I'm setting up. Like, it's hard for me. I'm like, just close my curtain so I can do this and really get in the zone and think about that tattoo and plan the process of it, like, in my head, and get to that point. I think that's the best part about the tattooing. I mean, the after is awesome, you know, when you're actually wearing it, but for me, I like before it happens.
Okay. The planning and all the setup. Okay, cool. Okay, one last thing is, if you have any advice for the general public as to how to shop for the right tattoo or shop, what would you say?
The internet. It is at your fingertips. Just do your research. That is the best thing you can possibly do. Do your research and expect that if you want the best, expect to wait. So do your planning way prior to when you actually want to get tattooed. And don't think about it so much in money terms, because we have this society where we have been conditioned to find a deal. And you can't bargain shop with this kind of thing. Like, you can't bargain shop when it comes to plastic surgery. Like, tattooing is minor cosmetic surgery. We're implanting pigment under your skin. So if you want the best, then don't think about it in terms of how much money you're going to spend on a tattoo, because it's an investment that you're going to make. You're wearing this for the rest of your life. So be open. I mean, obviously, if you go to somebody who's very reputable, they're not going to try to rip you off. Like, that's just how it goes. And I think everybody has that fear of being ripped off. And I mean, any good artist, it's not going to happen like that. It's the shadier shops and stuff that I would worry more about. That kind of thing. So.
Okay, Brooke, I'd like to share one last thing, and that's the way I heard about Brooke was a client who was native to the city Brooke tattoos in came down to Alabama and shared. She's like, "Have you heard of Brooke Hume?" And she's like, "Her work is amazing," and they talked you up, and so they brought you to me. So the cool thing is now that the whole purpose of this is to educate the general public. So where they brought you to me, now I'm able to bring you to the rest of that area. So in some kind of way, it's coming full circle, man. So this is pretty cool sitting here getting to talk to you. I hunted Brooke down, and I was able to catch her at the Nashville show in Louisville. I actually missed her first time in Louisville. But Brooke, thank you very much for taking the time for this. Thank you for the advice you did give me when we did meet, and thanks for being cool, and hope to see you again.